What's going on, guys? Kaylee here and my mama back in the background. We are going for a little bit of a walk because we were gifted an opportunity from our neighbor to come pick some flowers. And being that we are both herbalists and very much excited about all the medicinal plants that are in our area, and when you have an opportunity to harvest, you gotta go harvest.
Appalachian sunrise meets my skin. Even with my eyes still closed, I can feel it coming in. Golden, golden, I'll follow only golden, 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 golden things. Mountain laurel high fives for miles in spring. Rainbow trout and hummingbird wing. Golden, I'll follow something golden. Golden, golden things.
This beautiful little tree that produces this stunning little pom-pom flower. This is called a mimosa tree. It also has another name as the Persian silk tree, but if you want to go a little bit more scientific, its scientific name is Albizia julibrissin. I probably 100% botched that. Regardless, we are here to just pick some of these stunning little flowers, and then we're going to take it over to the apothecary and we're going to talk about all the medicinal properties that the mimosa tree offers and what we're going to do with it.
Walk up the river by my sun. Feet step over splinters of the moon.
So when you're harvesting the flowers from the mimosa tree, you want the nice, pretty pink, fluffy ones just like this. You think we got enough for a quart?
Oh yeah.
You always want to leave a good bit back on the tree and only take what you need.
Golden, golden things.
It smells like
Honeysuckle. But
it does. It smells like honeysuckle. This is all the flowers that we were able to harvest from the mimosa tree, and we could have easily harvested a lot more. We just needed to have a ladder. Regardless, I think this is going to be more than enough for us to be able to use and enjoy for at least a full year, I would say.
yeah.
I would say. Now, let's talk about the mimosa tree. The mimosa tree is called the tree of happiness, and that's one of the benefits that I feel like that's why we seek it, that's why we want to harvest it, and that's why we want to tincture up some flowers. But when it comes to finding the mimosa tree, I have seen that it grows typically the East Coast, this area. I've seen further down south. How far up north have you seen?
Pennsylvania, Maryland. I went north in Pennsylvania and I did see it in that area, but I can't remember where I was at.
I mainly see it down south.
Some people do use them as ornamental, like landscaping trees and stuff like that. So part of it might be just they're naturally occurring wild in the woods. Part of it might be, you know, through birds and other animals that they find their way into our. We welcome them.
Yeah, they can find their way.
They can
here.
come.
Now, when it comes to the blooms and the blossoms, you're going to want to look around June, July, at least for our area, for where we are. June and July tend to be when they actually start really kind of growing, and they will be so rich in pink. I mean, to me, looking at a mimosa flower, it makes me happy.
It's like a little pom-pom.
It is. It's like little pom-poms, little cheerleaders. And what I found is funny is there are certain areas where we actually see them where they're so rich in color. I mean, these are pink, these are beautiful, but we have seen them to the point where they're almost like dark almost
Like
like
fuchsia,
yeah, just
magenta.
a beautiful, rich, dark magenta. I've also seen where people will say that it's like a little fairy paintbrush,
Oh.
which is kind of cute. So if you have little guys, this would be a fun little project that you guys can harvest a few flowers and make a little bit of an art project. So when it comes to the mimosa tree, there are different parts of the tree that you can actually use medicinally. One of them, of course, is the flower, which is what we have here. And we feel that this is, by harvesting just the flower, this is probably the most sustainable way of being able to allow the tree to continue to grow and then also still reap the medicinal properties that we're seeking. You can harvest the bark as well, which I do have a tree that I will have to go ahead and do, only because the tractor hit the tree. I'll probably go ahead and harvest that bark and then show you how we're going to tincture that as well. But for right now, we are focusing strictly on these beautiful flowers right here, because this is a fresh flower. The alcohol ratio does end up changing a little bit compared to if this was dried, and that's the same way with the bark. Your alcohol ratio changes. We're doing a fresh tincture, so this is going to be a 1-to-2 ratio by weight. Now we are using a 95% alcohol, which is a 190 proof. This tincture we're going to use Everclear, but you can also use vodka. If these were dry, you could still use the same alcohol percent. Your ratio would be a 1-to-5 versus a 1-to-2. These flowers have moisture in it, which is what you want to be able to maintain a shelf life stable product after you use it. Let's go ahead and weigh this out, and then we're going to figure out how much alcohol we are going to need to tincture this entire batch of flower. This tree of happiness can be about 30 to 40 feet tall. So, which is probably why we would have had an entire trough full if we would have brought a ladder like she had suggested, and I said no. Yeah. Regardless, okay, but this is what we have. We're gonna go ahead and split this up into 2 different jars instead of trying to pack it all in one jar, because I don't have a half-gallon jar down here like I thought I did.
Which you're making so many tinctures.
It's okay. While my mom is going ahead and filling up the jars with the flowers, I want to talk to you guys about 2 different books that we actually have really enjoyed, especially when it comes to foraging in our area. This book right here is The Southeast Medicinal Plants, and Corey Pine Shane wrote this book. Corey Pine had some pretty good stuff to actually say about the mimosa flower. And if you guys are interested in this book, I'll make sure to put it in my Amazon store, and that link will be down below. But I really enjoyed Corey Pine's book, and my mom also, and goodness, steal it. Also, the Northeast version. Now, Liz Neves wrote this book, which she is also a very wonderful herbalist as well, and both of them had some really interesting things to actually say about the mimosa flower. Now, when you start doing your research on medicinal herbs, I think one of our favorite things that we enjoy doing the most is actually opening up all of our books.
We get them all out.
Yep, and we read every single book about the same plant from all the different herbalists, because I feel like you get a little bit from every single one. They have their own relationship, they have their own knowledge of these plants.
And their own experience too that they are sharing. So we have gone from Native American, we've pulled from Native American, we've pulled from
the more scientific aspect, going into the phytochemistry breakdown of the plant. I mean, even the European, if the European Commission has anything about that, we're pulling that in. And so we're getting a lot of research in, and that's what is so fun about, for me, I agree,
to do this, is because if you get a little, it's kind of like following a recipe per se, but then adding your own little flair. So we're getting everyone's little flair, and then we're incorporating that and finding,
how does it work for us? What do we think? How do we use it? What do we, our feedback. And that's the one thing about herbal medicine that I want you guys to take with you, is you do not have to know every single thing. It's helpful. It is helpful, but as long as you know where to find the things,
the resources.
I do. I think that that's a key point with herbal medicine. I would love. I'm
from the internet.
Yes.
This is so sore.
I completely agree. finding a good book, picking it up, taking it with you. Not only that,
and knowing the author, knowing who's putting the information, where those resources are coming from. I mean, this is
years and years
Right.
of
collective knowledge,
Right.
and I think that's the gift, and to have been able to learn on a first-hand basis from some known reputable herbalists and where their knowledge and experience came from. Oh, that's priceless to
Yeah,
me.
I
I mean,
agree.
that's just priceless. So when we weighed the flour component parts, we had 10.4 ounces. So since we didn't have a half-gallon jar that needs to go on our shopping list, we're going to go ahead and split this into 2 quart jars at 5.2 ounces each.
correct.
So now taking that by weight,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so 5.2 ounces times 2 is 10.4 ounces, which I weighed out a little heavy after I pared it out. This is 10.6. So let's see what this looks like.
This is where it's a little hard because you want to go kind of by the book, but then you also want to make sure that all your plant matter is under your menstruum, under your source. And if you look, we didn't even touch it. So,
Now we could probably put a fermenting weight
and that's
down
what
in
we're going to
there.
end up doing, but we're still going to have to top it off a little bit. So that is what we're going to do. This is now called Wild Woman Style
Wild crafting.
Wild crafting. When it comes to the medicinal properties of the mimosa flower, I think one of the key things that really stuck out to me when I was doing my research was the benefits in the study in people who were suffering from PTSD. So that was one of my big red flag. I need to actually harvest this plant. We need to introduce it into our apothecary, and I need to learn more about it. When it comes to the mimosa flower and why we are so excited to harvest it and tincture it is because we are essentially seeking out the medicinal properties that it offers that just help support your nervous system. It helps support your overall mood.
It allows you the opportunity to kind of
Which
and
is-
just relax, breathe. You know, when you're tense, you hold your breath.
Correct.
So I think that was one of the most interesting things about this flower that I had learned is this gives you that moment, you know, that pause. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves because we're going in this trajectory that's like fast and furious and forward. Take the time. Slow it down. Just pause, and breathe.
Yep.
And that alone does so many other things
Right.
to your body. So introducing the mimosa and incorporating that, it's good.
It is good. It is
It's
good.
just good.
And it's here for a reason. And that's what I love about herbal medicine and plant medicine. And I've shared with you guys my thoughts about the plants that are growing around us and why I feel like they're here for a reason. I just enjoyed sharing our story with you guys. But this beautiful mimosa flower tincture is going to sit in a cool, dark place for 4 to 6 weeks, probably 6 weeks. We tend to not press things out right away, and we're going to shake it every single day like this. Possibly come back through. I might add a weight to the top. I think that's what we're going to end up doing, just to be able to make sure that that alcohol is completely covered over top of the entire plant matter. Then we will come back and get this pressed out and enjoy it.
And now I'm down to the last part, mimosa flowers.
Yes.
1-to-2 ratio.
I will show you because this is the
Today's
most
date.
important thing when it comes to making tinctures. Don't ask me why. And one of the most important things to do is to always label your jars. Now this is the mimosa flower. We did a 1-to-2 ratio at 95% alcohol. And then of course the date that we tinctured this on so that we know in around 6 weeks we can press all this out. When it it comes to herbal medicine, any herb that you introduce into your body, into your system, into your family, always do your research. Always consult a physician or herbalist to talk about what you are using, why you are using, and the dosage. Now, there are some contraindications that you do have to be concerned about, obviously breastfeeding, pregnant, and also if you have a diagnosed bipolar disorder, that's one thing to kind of be advised on, because it could aggravate the mania. So always do your research.
Right. This is a great front pocket herb if you know you're going into a situation that is going to be extremely stressful.
Yes, absolutely. And it's not only beautiful, but it tastes amazing. It's just one of those plants that as soon as you start to see it bloom, you have to get out and harvest some.
Yeah. Look at already, it's pulling the color from the flowers.
Yep, all of these flowers are going to be very, very pretty. Thank you guys for coming and foraging with my mom and I and harvesting these beautiful flowers. And then of course coming up here and learning a little bit about why we harvested these flowers. If you guys are interested in these books, I will make sure to put them down below in my Amazon storefront link. And I highly, highly, highly recommend both of these books between Corey Pine Shane and Liz Neves. They are pretty.
Yeah, they're pretty fun.
They're pretty fun. And as always, don't be afraid to get your hands dirty.
And learn something new.
Bye guys.
Bye.
I'll follow when he goes